Supreme Leader will be pleased once he receives a report about these puny humans.
These insignificant creatures should be easy to destroy.
Will you stop shooting everyone you see?
Cork law protects us from harm. Space Treaty 45-0-5-40 states that Cork are allowed to terminate without restriction.
He was the mailman.
We give you no choice. If you fail to help us, you will meet the same fate as this human.
I will protect you.
You will?
Do you trust me?
Yes. Have you no respect for human life?
No.
You have been handpicked to rush Gamma Rho Kappa, the most prestigious sorority around.
During the weekend, you will be called for your ritual of initiation. Now, you may be called at any time, and failing this ritual will result in termination.
Nice sleeping arrangements, huh?
No doubt it was planned this way.
Why?
Duh, to get us to sleep together. Pretending to be something you're not is not healthy.
Don't you do the same thing?
Come on, you're up for the first test.
Well, you are safe here, dear. We will make many mortals pay their sacrifice.
So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Behind the Fiends. It's been a while since I've done one of these, so you're going to have to excuse me if I am rather rusty. It has been 6 months since I've sat behind this camera. But today, I am joined by Myrna, if I'm saying your last name correctly.
Absolutely.
And Mr. Steve Hermann, who has been on the show once before, and you may have seen some of his movies. It Came From Somewhere, Attack of the Corn Zombies, just to name a few. So, how you two been?
Pretty good, thank you.
I've been great. Thank you for having us on.
Oh, pleasure. Pleasure's all mine. I've been meaning to have you on for a while, to both of you. I mean, I've talked to Ann quite a bit on Facebook. You not so much, because I know you've been busy, Steve, but I've been wanting to have you back on because I really do love your all's work, especially the It Came From Somewhere, which there's a sequel to that movie now. What was it? They Came Back From Somewhere. Is that the title, or did I mess it up?
Nope, that's it. They came back from somewhere.
So, for all of you that are huge Ed Wood fans out there in internet world and YouTube world, you will really enjoy those two movies. It is Ed Wood from start to finish in a good way. I dare anybody to disperse the good name of Ed Wood, but What movies are you all currently working on now? If you don't mind me asking, or is it super secret?
No. I'm currently working on adapting my book, Perfect Soul, and I'm adapting that into a film.
Okay. Can you give us a little bit on what that's about, or without spoiling it too much? Or
I won't spoil it, but it's basically about this girl that lives in a small religious town, which is named Perfect. And centuries ago, they burned a couple witches. And so the witches, before they died, said a spell that they'll be back to garner revenge on the town. One of them escapes centuries ahead, since she's a witch and she's almost immortal. Gives birth to the protagonist, Nikki, and she is the one that will eventually bring these witches back to get their revenge. But the problem is that Nikki's extremely religious. So
so this is more of a serious vibe to this.
Right, the spirits come back and they try to pull her away from her religion and go, "Hey, no, we are your true heritage. This is who you are," and she doesn't believe it, and they try to convince her, and it's not pretty. And she eventually finds out that the town is not as perfect and religious as they all seem, and then she just kind of turns and have like a little Carrie moment.
So Anne, you working on this with him?
Yes, I'm the producer for this one.
Okay.
So I've been busy finding locations for us to film. Steve has cast the main roles so far. We've got a few roles that will need to be filled. I've been gathering up some props. My parents were Catholic and lived right across the street from a church, went to church every day kind of thing. So they had a lot of religious memorabilia around their home, which when they passed away, I just
see a little circle spinning.
Yeah, I kind of put that stuff in the crawl space in my house and thought, like I don't want to throw it in the garbage. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. So those are becoming some of our props for the film.
I'm sold on it. I've seen that book, but I never read it. I don't know. Now I want to read it. I'll have to read it now. So that one is kind of like they're not close to crowdfunding stages or anything yet, right?
Well, we have started what we're calling a pre-production campaign. So just a small campaign to help us out. We're going to film in 3 phases. So we want to do some select scenes in March and then use those scenes to put together a teaser trailer and then kick off the main crowdfunding campaign for filming the entire film in June, probably for 7 days and 5 days in September. So yeah, if you go to Indiegogo and search for Perfect Soul, you will find it out there.
Okay. And I'll make sure that I'll put that link into the description of this video along with all the other movies as well that's on YouTube.
Awesome.
So Stranded and Trepidity, have you done movies for those yet?
Trepidity we have.
Okay. I only asked because the only thing I've really watched has been Corn Zombies and the It Came From Somewhere 1 and 2. That's really been about all I've watched, so I do apologize. I've been a bad movie fan. So is that one available on YouTube, or is that more on Amazon, Tubi, places like that?
Trepidity is on our YouTube channel.
Okay, so I'll make sure I put that one in the description as well.
Yeah, that's a fun story. And then Steve has also adapted some of the stories from an anthology called Splintered Love. And those are on our YouTube channel as well.
And there was the other one, the Sorority Girls, right? That
Night of the Dead Sorority Babes.
It reminds me of Slumber Party Massacre so much.
That's exactly what I was going for.
Yeah, that one has wrapped up post-production, so it's completed, and we are delivering perks to people who contributed through the Indiegogo campaign. So if you bought the film download or physical media, I've already sent out the film download to those people, and I'm waiting to get my copy of the physical media to make sure that I authored it correctly and it actually plays when you put it into a player. And then I'll be having those shipped out. And that one's being distributed by Bayview Entertainment. So we're not immediately, like throwing it on our YouTube channel or anything like that. We're going through them as the distributor. So we're like in the queue to come out probably the very beginning of 2025.
And anybody want a physical copy of those DVDs? I did go on y'all's website for ACROSTAR Pictures, and you can get physical copies of those as well. So I'll have that link as well in the description of this video too.
Awesome.
So Steve, got a question for you. I saw where you are a big Stephen King fan, mainly The Stand. What was it with that book that resonated with you the most that got you into writing?
Oh, it had a little bit of everything. It had end of the world. It had supernatural. It had good versus evil. The devil versus God. It had like everything thrown in there. And I just found that really fascinating. And I read that book like 3 times. So it was a combination of everything just thrown in there.
You know,
it's funny you say that, because after I read The Stand and I read Carrie, it's like, I wasn't too impressed with Carrie. Just the way it was written.
How about you, Ann? Was there something that really got you? I don't know if you're a writer, but really into film that mainly the horror genre. Was there something that was really a big influence for you?
Well, yeah, my route to being involved in horror filmmaking is a little different than most people's. So I was in plays in high school. I was in the chorus. I played the piano, started at age 5 through college. So I've always been kind of an artsy person, but I was a computer programmer when I graduated from college. And so I was a nerd for 40 plus years in my career and didn't really think about anything creative. Like truly, absolutely nothing creative came out of me for that many years. And some friends of mine were making bucket lists, and I thought, well, I guess I'm old enough, I should make a bucket list. And the first thing on my bucket list was, I think I want to be on Chicago PD. I watched that TV show. I'd like to be on that someday. So I did some research on how they cast background extras and followed that casting company and, was doing some background work on the TV shows that they shoot in Chicago. And people encouraged me to take classes and get a talent agent and stuff. So I did all that and, started auditioning for different things. Some of them were student films, and then some of them were independent films. And I ran across ACROSTAR Films, saw that Steve was an author first and then a filmmaker. And so I read some of his books, because most of them you can get on Kindle, and really liked the writing. There were solid stories there. And sometimes with some of the independent projects, the storytelling is not as good, particularly the way the films end. Sometimes it's just the words "the end" come up and you're like, oh, wait, it didn't seem like there was enough story there to me. So that's what kind of drew me to ACROSTAR. And I auditioned for Steve. He did not cast me, boo-hoo, but then asked me if I wanted to help behind the scenes. So that was kind of the beginning of me getting involved with what goes on to put a film together. And then he asked me if I wanted to be a producer. So I Googled what that was to figure out what my job would be. And so I've kind of switched from having been somebody who did web design and then kind of did some acting on the side to somebody who's just doing the filmmaking stuff. So I've shut down my web design business, officially retired from that. And Steve and I formed ACROSTAR Productions LLC at the beginning of 2024 so that we could, move forward in a more formalized manner. And I take care of a lot of the back end of the stuff. I don't imagine myself ever writing. I have ideas for a direction that the story could go, but I can't imagine writing the dialogue. Like I write marketing materials, but I don't think I could develop characters and write dialogue and stuff like that. So he's the creative one. Leave all that to him.
I can describe it as I've never the movie script that I was telling you all about before I actually pushed record on this. I found that it's different from I've wrote a few comic book scripts in my time, and though they are the same, they are vastly different in a lot of ways. And Steve could probably relate to that because you're writing for panels and not scenes, so to speak. So you sometimes have to describe everything, like Captain America has his shield up in front of his face and he's blocking gunfire, that kind of thing, where you don't necessarily do that in a movie script so much. But yeah, the writing the dialogue thing was weird for me because it's almost like it's almost like you got to develop a dual personality and have a conversation with yourself to see if it works.
Exactly.
And then you walk away from it going, am I crazy? Am I like low key crazy? I'm sitting here talking to myself and I'm having a full on conversation like between these two characters. And what's that, Steve? I'm sorry.
I mean, that's exactly how I do it. I'll sit there and talk to myself.
Okay, so thank God I'm not.
Comes out. You're not crazy. If you're crazy, I'm crazy with you.
So thank God, because I thought I was going to have to call the paddy wagon to come down with straight jacket because I'm sitting here like my two characters, obviously John and Luke, and I'm sitting there trying to do the part of Luke, and I'm going back and forth. So I'm like, so Luke, what do you think we should do? I don't know, John. What do you think we should do? And I'm like, wow, this is not right. What am I doing?
Right.
Well, and I notice when I read Steve's scripts, I read them several times. And so by the time you've read it all the way through the end, you see how a particular character evolves. And then when I read it again and I see like the intentional, like the use of the language of that character early on, there are clues to the state of the character at the end of the film built in throughout, and I just don't think I would ever, have the attention to detail or the planning that would go into that. It's an incredible amount of planning that goes into developing those characters.
I can say this. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Steve. I'm sorry. I can't see you on the screen. So,
and you're right about switching, like you did comic panels and script. It's the same way with writing. I mean, it's two completely different animals. Like when you write a book, it's always tell, don't show. You have to describe it. Now, when you go to script writing, I mean, you obviously can't write down what the people are thinking. You have to adjust it in emotions and stuff like that, and that could be tricky.
So I went online, and two of the biggest resources that I've had that's really been helpful is I got a copy of Wes Craven's Last House on the Left script because I wanted to see early Wes Craven before he really molded himself into a master. So I wanted to come at it through his novice perspective as well as, me being a complete novice. But then also I wanted a more refined master of it. And so I got Alfred Hitchcock's, of course, Psycho, because you could find those scripts online.
Right.
And it's almost like a fingerprint with you directors and filmmakers and screenwriters. It's a fingerprint because as you're reading it, you could tell it's like a piano player, guitar player, or like you said, a fingerprint. You all have a unique way of telling a story that's different from one writer to the other.
Well, right. I mean, I write my scripts bare bone because I'm not trying to pitch it to a major studio or anything. I mean, I don't go into full detail unless it's better for me. Like I said, I'm not trying to pitch it to anybody. I'm trying to pitch it to myself, really. And as the director, I know in my head exactly what I want to see. I mean, I actually, for purpose show, I might actually storyboard it, which I've never done.
But
Me,
keep
when
in
I
mind,
when
yeah,
I
keep in
write,
mind
I'm
the
sorry,
other,
Ann. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, I was just going to say that, like when Steve and I start working on a project, part of what I have to do is dig into what's in his mind because it's not all written down. So, like to go location scouting, I mean, I have a picture in my mind, but that doesn't really matter. What matters is what's in his mind because he's the director. So I have to do all this interrogation in order to find,
Really? I mean,
otherwise I'm
really,
wasting everybody's time, and I can't read his mind. So
she's basically like, what the fuck do you want? What are you looking for now?
So you're almost like producer / shrink, so to speak, where you're like, can you tell me about your childhood, Steve? What was it like?
yes.
That
Especially when it's something that he has written the book on years ago. Like he had those images in his mind way back then when he wrote the book. And, yes, sometimes just due to budgetary constraints, you got to tone things down for the film. But I still want to know what that picture was in his mind so that I can try to deliver that in terms of locations and set decoration and, stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, when I see a script where all of that stuff is written down, then yeah, it's easier for somebody else to pick it up. But I think we also we have good synergy in terms of actually discussing it, and then it's beneficial for him, it's beneficial for me, type of thing. And then by the time the cast looks at it, it's a more rounded picture, and then they have a vision in their mind as well. Because when they're developing their character, you kind of want to know what the setting is and the economic status of the family or whatever the situation is.
that's key to have a great relationship between filmmaker and producer. I mean, if you two can't get along, then obviously the project's not going to work. And I've read so many horror stories of a producer and a film and just a director, they just can't coexist for whatever reason.
I think from the producer perspective, I mean, you have to kind of stay in your lane. I mean, you're the organizer, you're the problem solver, you're not the creative impetus behind the project. If you want to be the creative side, then
Yeah,
you have to
like
have
your
that
damn
different
script.
role. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But
So yeah, it seems hard to me, like it could be really hard to me to just, I don't know, to argue with the creative person. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. That's not my place.
but
I'll
sometimes
point things out, but that's about the extent of it.
but sometimes your perspective is the best perspective
Well,
because you were seeing it in a vastly different way from Steve is seeing it. He's already pictured all of this in his head, but you as a person that's not had this in your head and your fresh eyes on it, you're kind of in the middle of, are we sure this is going to work? Is the budget going to work for this?
right.
Because I could tell you being a somewhat creative person, I guess, and being around a lot of creative people that I've been blessed to be around, sometimes be your own worst enemy, and you.
True. I think, yeah, it helps if everybody has an open mind. Let's put it that way, because everyone's opinions are that they're opinions from a particular perspective, and they should at least be heard. You can't just necessarily agree with everything, but it's a point of discussion at least.
And your job is really important as well because you're the one that has, like, say, if this is a big production here and a big film here, you're the one that's got to call up Warner Brothers or Paramount or any of these other and be like, so remember what we originally agreed on that budget? Yeah, that's not going to work. We kind of need a little bit more money. You're the one that's got to make that call.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Yeah, I wish the money just flowed in our direction, but it's a lot of work.
Believe me, I Googled being a producer because I to protect my YouTube channel, I started a production company. And Yeah, I've Googled it. It's more to it than just giving somebody money. Believe me, guys, it's vastly more than I even understand. You're the pitch person, the salesman, the problem solver.
Right. It wouldn't be ACROSTAR Productions without Ann.
Yeah. Yeah, Ann's awesome. I mean, every time I've ever messaged her just like that, and most people I message them and I don't hear nothing from them.
Well, you're a very important person, John. So.
Nah, I'm just a small cog in the wheel of this whole thing. I just enjoy getting to talk to y'all. I love being around creative people and hearing how they make things work. I was the nerd. Like you said, you were a nerd. I've been a nerd my whole life too. I'm the nerd that would put on the extras DVD or whatever and watch how the movie was made while my friends are going, can we just watch the movie? This sucks. Why am I watching this? Because I want to see how they made this happen. You know, that's just me.
Yep.
But sometimes that can be more interesting than the film itself.
Yeah, of course. See, that's been my argument all along. Like how Jack Pierce made Boris Karloff look like the Frankenstein monster. I enjoy that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially where special effects are involved. I mean, it's really cool to see how that is done and the stages that you have to go through to get that stuff applied to you. It's amazing.
That leads me into this, and maybe the whole corn zombie thing. I, for the life of me, would have never, and believe me, I have got a pretty wild imagination, but I would have never thought this up. This is like Lloyd Kaufman times 10. I mean, how did you come up with this?
Actually, it was Beth Metcalf. When we were filming, it came from somewhere. They were running around in the corn, and somehow zombies came up. And I can't remember exactly how, but it said one of the zombies who were corn came running out or something like that. And right then the light bulb popped up over my head. It was like, okay.
Children of the Corn, Night of the Living Dead. Let's mesh them together.
There you go.
Because that's exactly what I was thinking. I was watching it. I was like, I'm just waiting for Malachi to come running. He that walks between the rows, you know, that sort of thing. And then I'm like, dude, Romero would be shedding a tear at this, and so would Stephen King, because this is just crazy. But
right. I mean, I had done 50s, 70s, and 80s. It's like, well, shit, let's do a 60s era film. And there we go. And that's
I think
I could get with those scratches, like that grindhouse in a way where the film would burn out halfway through or a certain scene. And they had to put it back together right there in the projector. I mean, all those little touches, like, I'm going to do that. That sounds cool.
Well, to me, you all are reviving a genre, and that goes for you as well. And you all of you at ACROSTAR Pictures, you're reviving a genre that I think has been lost. Some people have touched it, but not like they did in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. And that's the Schlock film. Nobody has ever done Schlock right. I mean, they've touched on it, but not to the point of like a William Castle or somebody like that. And with you, Steve, you embody that old Schlock filmmaker. And to some, they would look at that and, well, are you trying to say he's a bad filmmaker? Not at all. Some of those movies are some of the greatest movies ever made. I mean, Earth versus the Flying Saucer and stuff like that. William Castle, especially when you look at 13 Ghosts, the original. Not the remake from 2002, the original.
Speaking of which, the other night, do you ever watch the movie The Tingler?
Yeah, with Vincent Price.
Yeah. I just watched that the other night. It's like, man, that'd be cool to make something like that.
Do it.
Vincent Price on LSD. I mean, you can't beat that.
And for those that have never watched that movie, the premise of it was, in William Castle, for those that aren't really following, that aren't real big film nerds like me and Steve and others, William Castle was the king of the gimmick film.
Yes.
And with Tingler, he put these little buzzers in the back of the theater seats. And on cue, it would come up on the screen that you had to scream. And if you didn't scream, the Tingler would kill you. So when you felt the buzz, everybody in the theater had to scream. So it got you to be interactive with the film. There was another film, and Steve, maybe you know which one it was. I can't remember right offhand, but he handed out life insurance policies, these fake life insurance policies that you had to sign to say that if this movie scared you so bad that you died, that William Castle was in no way responsible for it.
That was the 13 Ghosts, was it? No, 13 Ghosts was the skeleton, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, but 13 Ghost had the Ghost-O-Matic little 3D glasses that you could find on eBay.
Which one had the skeleton in it?
Oh Lord!
That wasn't.
Was it one of his Was it House on Haunted Hill? I know he was really big in.
It was House on Haunted Hill. That was it.
Because he was that was wasn't him that was really into the Poe movies. I'm thinking of Roger Corbin, I think, that did those. But yeah, Castle was something else. He basically made going to the movies an amusement ride. And then you had Ed Wood, who he would just drop everything. Okay, this is the perfect spot to film to do this scene. And everybody's looking at him like, Ed, this is the parking lot to let's just say a Walmart. Yes, that's exactly what I was envisioning. A Walmart right here. This is where we're going to shoot the scene.
Right.
And he would just do
one take, right. One take, Ed.
Yeah.
One take, that's it. Let's go.
Yeah, because they had to get out of there before they got the cops called on them. So it was just.
And even then, I think he only had not only the budget, but he didn't have much time to shoot these films.
No. And the only reason he got Bela Lugosi is because Bela Lugosi was in such financial dire straits that.
Right.
Lugosi was like, yeah.
And also being a drug addict didn't help.
Yeah. Poor Lugosi got hooked on pain medication, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Morphine, I think.
It was morphine.
So yeah, that and he wasn't very he didn't manage his money real well. He lived very extravagantly and lived outside of his means.
Right.
Great actor. I mean, you can't not say anything bad about Lugosi. Just wasn't very good with managing money. You probably didn't want to hand him your wallet. But other than that, he was a great actor. But that's my whole thing, man. I mean, I've seen a few of your posts on Facebook, and I ain't trying to, call you out where you're like, oh, man, I'm second guessing this and all that. Don't do that, bro. Because film needs people like you. Because when I look at movies, big budget movies, there's no heart to them. There's no soul to them. They're just a reboot or a rehash, or this is working, so let's make 10,000 movies of this. Just like the Paranormal Activity crap where, it's found footage and a ghost was in the house, and how many knockoffs there was of that.
Right.
You're
found footage.
Yeah, you're one of those old outlaw filmmakers like the Carpenters and the Cunninghams and the Hitchcocks and the Castles, and that's a dying breed, and you being around keeps that alive.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
So never second guess yourself, man. Your movies are awesome. I love them.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. I mean, I would always get a chance to remake Plan 9 from Outer Space or Manos.
You did. It came from somewhere. Is Plan 9 from outer space?
or Manos, The Hands of Fate.
Or Them. I would love to see a giant ant movie. We don't have enough of that.
But yeah, watching Tinkler is like, wow, that would be pretty awesome to make something like that. Just like
All you
this,
can do is
something like
do it.
that. The little rubbly creature that you can clearly see the string pulling it.
Mm-hmm. And make sure he makes a Tingler style movie.
I will. As long as there are no actual insects on the set, I will be good.
Well,
No, the
Tingler
Tingler was
was-
terrifying. It was a worm that had arms on it that would attach to your spine.
And I've been
And it
saying
was-
we need a monster movie, so
and it was fear, wasn't it? It was fear that
It
killed you.
it fed
on
on
fear.
Yep.
It fed on fear.
And if you didn't scream for it to feed on, it would kill you. Was the whole premise of it.
The whole thing's kind of
Where-
hokey, but you know.
so what?
That's where my fandom lies. I know a lot of people get off on the gore movies like the Terrifier and stuff like that, and I'm not saying those movies are bad. They're just not my kind of movie. I'm not big into the whole overabundance of gore. Don't mind gore, but you know,
I'm more
I
interested.
love.
I'm more interested. Is like, holy shit! How did they do that?
Yeah, but
Sure.
I love the old 50s and 60s horror sci-fi movies where it's two kitchen plates taped together to look like a UFO. You know,
Hey, that sounds familiar.
yeah, you know, that's just my thing. I love that shit. I mean, hell, I sat there and looked for the string holding it up on the screen. Like I know the string's there, just got to look for it. Or Ray Harryhausen, anything Ray Harryhausen, that's right up my alley.
Right.
Which Ray Harryhausen, the movie I mentioned earlier, Earth versus the Flying Saucers, was a Harryhausen movie. Where he did the special effects for it.
Right. But I mean, I have to give credit to Mystery Science Theater for giving light to all those old films.
Yeah.
Without that, I wouldn't have paid any attention to them.
I have to give credit to my local television station for ABC, WCTI 12 in New Bern, North Carolina. They used to have it was like Svengoolie or Joe Bob Briggs type of show. It was a Saturday night after midnight movie show. It was called Red Eye Cinema. And the host of its name was Will C. Get it? Will C.
Oh,
So, yeah. So, and he just passed away a few years back, but he introduced me to so much of that old stuff, that drive-in B movies gold. I'll never call it garbage. It was gold. But that was, the first time I ever watched Invasion of the Body Snatchers was the 1956 Invasion of the Body Snatchers that he had on there. And then he had a few movies that terrified me to where I couldn't sleep with lights off, but that's neither here nor there. But that was my whole deal. And my grandparents also just making me watch like Abbott and Costello films and Laurel and Hardy. I fell in love with classic cinema.
I mean, back when I was a youngling, and you might remember Channel 90, I think it was Channel 90 used to have something called Creature Features.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that was my really first introduction, and that's when I really got into like Godzilla and Gamera. But they also show like Creature from the Black Lagoon and some of those old ones.
Yeah, but you all lived in Chicago. You all had the greatest sketch comedy show ever made on television, Second City TV.
Yeah.
You could say whatever you want about Saturday Night Live. I don't care. SCTV was the greatest sketch comedy show ever made.
And that used to come on after
stop.
SNL. That used to come on after SNL.
Yeah.
And it should have came on before SNL.
And thanks to them, we got Doug and Bob McKenzie.
John Candy,
Rick Moranis, Eugene Loving.
What's his name that played the Count on there from He just
could
passed
picture him.
away.
I could picture him. He was in Happy Gilmore. He's the one that kept
Yeah.
harassing Happy.
Yeah, you jackass.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love Second City TV. Which you wouldn't have got Saturday Night Live without Second City Comedy, because I think what was it, Aykroyd and Murray were kind of the driving forces.
I think Gilda Radner came out of there too.
Mm-hmm. Good old memories. Count Floyd, that was his name. Count Floyd.
I can only remember who played him.
Yeah, my memory ain't so good at 50 years of age.
Just wait.
Do they? So, Ann, you still live in Chicago. Do they still have the Second City Comedy Troupe there in Chicago, or did that kind of go away?
You can take classes there and stuff. Which I think then, like at the end of the classes, they do performances.
Well, I'm glad to know that that's still going on.
Improv stuff. I'm too I don't know, boring. I think to do improv. I'm a planner, like you can't plan for improv. You have to just let loose and kind of go with it.
You could be the straight woman, like in
True.
The Three Stooges. You had what was his name? Something Healy. In his Stooges, he always was the straight guy. Abbott and Costello. Lou Abbott was the straight guy.
Yeah.
Or no, Bud Abbott. I got him mixed up. Bud Abbott, Lou Costello. Excuse me.
And Joe Flaherty. That's his name. Joe Flaherty.
Yep. Yep. He just passed away this year.
Who was the Marx Brothers straight guy?
Oh God. You're gonna make me Google this, aren't you? Marx Brothers straight guy.
I mean, I'll take the Marx Brothers over the Three Stooges.
Marx Brothers straight man was, come on, Google, give it to me. It was Zeppo Marx. He was the youngest of the Marx brothers.
Yeah, but he was part of them. He wasn't.
Yeah. It says he was neither it said he was neither a totally straight man nor a comedian. So he kind of played both. He kind of teetered on both sides.
Maybe I'm getting Harpo.
So you had Zeppo and Harpo and Groucho.
Yep.
What was that? Duck Soup?
Oh my God. Like Casablanca.
Yeah. One of my favorite movies is.
They don't make them like that They don't make them like that anymore.
True.
No, I watched Laurel and Hardy the other night, Flying Aces.
Oh.
Where they accidentally joined the Fritz Foreign Legion. Because Ollie fell in love with a girl.
They don't make comedies like that. Right?
No,
not anymore. Not anymore. Hell, they don't even make the horror movies like that anymore. Like my son, funny story. My youngest sat there and watched, was it Dracula or Frankenstein? Might have been Dracula. It was the first time he ever watched it. It's been about 5 years ago. And he was like, Dad, I want to see some of the old Universal movies. So I put that one on and we started watching it. And I'm all into it. And I can notice at the corner of my eye, he's doing his best to not insult me, I guess. And he's sitting there watching it, but you could tell he's kind of just fumbling around. And when it got to the end of the movie, he goes, well, where's the final fight? Where's the climax? Oh, he stakes him, but there's no ending. I said, son, you don't understand. In theater, I said, in movies back then were stage plays that they put on film. And I had to give him this whole lesson of the silent film era and the talkie film and how they were basically plays that they put on screen to be viewed in multiple movie theaters and different things. He goes, I still don't get it. So I'm like, well, that's what I get for trying to show an 18-year-old a almost 100-year-old movie.
Right.
Yep.
At least he didn't go, Dad, how old are you? You know.
Oh, he's done that already. Like I love Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's one of my all-time favorite movies in terms of from like the exploitation film period. And he got done watching that and he goes, that girl is so annoying, all that screaming. I was like, dude, you'd be screaming too if you were in a house full of inbreds that are trying to eat you. Wouldn't you be screaming? I guess, but it was just so annoying. You know, like this kid, is he really mine or no? Was there a mix up at the hospital? He's cool kid. He's not a movie nerd like his old man.
Well, and I think that younger kids, I mean, what they've been exposed to, there's so much special effects and stuff that if they see something old school, they're like, you know, couldn't they have done that better? You know, well, no, not back then. They could not have.
They're numb to it, basically.
Yeah. Had that kind of discussion with my son watching the birds. He's like, none of those birds looked real. I'm like, just sit back and listen to the story and watch it and like feel like you're there kind of thing. And it just didn't resonate with him.
And
It's
even
like-
back then, when it was horror, it was story over horror.
Yes.
And Hitchcock was a master of, he never truly showed you the horror up front. He made you imagine it in your mind.
Exactly.
And a lot of people a lot of people hate Psycho for that. They're like, I wanted to see Janet Leigh get stabbed. Well, you got to understand, this was the 1950s and 60s. They couldn't necessarily do that because they would have gotten in trouble because the Motion Picture Association was not going to let that fly.
Mhm.
So they had to do a lot of improvisational stuff with the horror. They had to kind of imply it, but not necessarily show it.
And sometimes that's the best way to go about it.
Yep. And that's what I miss. Like going back to those movies, Terrifier. My kid loves those movies. So many of my friends love those movies. But I'm like, where's the story? You got this clown that's killing everybody, but I really ain't getting a story here. I'm seeing a lot of people getting hacked up and killed. It's almost like I'm watching and it's not taking a shot at the filmmaker. I'm really not. I appreciate what he's doing because he's basically opening doors for indie films. He really, really is. He's kicking down those doors where the indie horror is finally starting to be recognized again. So Damien Leone, thank you for that. But I feel like I'm watching like Rick Baker's doing just a film of look at what I can do with my special effects kind of thing. Like, hey, you want to see this head explode? Watch how I do it. You want to see this? Watch how I do it. It's kind of what I feel like I'm watching with those. And a lot of movies do that. And it's okay. It's just not my cup of tea. I'm not a big gore guy, as I've said before. I like a little bit.
Yeah.
Not like an overabundance.
I mean, yeah, I like seeing like somebody cut in half with a chainsaw, like everybody else. But if it's too much, it's too much. After a while, your brain just becomes numb of watching, it constantly. You get to the point, yeah, well, that was cool. Yeah, cool. Instead of wow, that was freaking awesome. But like the 10th time, it's like, yeah, all right, yeah, that was cool.
It's like a lot of people get where they're like, dude, I made so many people run out the theater and throw up. Well, that's not good. Is it? Yeah, that's awesome. Well, okay. I don't know if I'd want to say that my movie made people get up and middle of the theater and go puke, I would be kind of upset. Maybe I just have a different viewpoint on things. I'm old school in my mind.
Well, and I like the fact that a story makes you think as well. So you're not just sitting there, like you say, watching, one gross thing after another. After a while, it just kind of rolls off of you. But if you've got a good story going, then your mind is engaged in the film and you're trying to, maybe figure out what this character is going to do next, what that character is going to do next, what kind of twist there might be, type of thing. So yeah, I like using my brain when I watch a film.
Yeah. That's like the new Salem's Lot. Have you all seen that yet?
Yes, I want the old one back.
Yeah. I appreciated it. I didn't completely hate it. I liked a lot of the actors. And especially the one that played Mark.
Yeah,
I really liked him. That kid has got a bright future in film. But when they CGI'd Kurt Barlow, I was like, done, out, no, this is not it. And it wasn't scary to me. It was not scary to me.
No,
the original one scared the hell out of me as a kid.
Oh, especially with them floating by the window, even though they did it in
Yeah.
the new version, it just didn't have the same effect as it did back in the 70s. And yeah, that creeped me out too when I first saw it way back yonder.
Yeah, the whole
And it
scene where
still
they
does
went
in a
down
way.
into Barlow's basement, remember, in the crawl space, you see the vampires
Crawling up.
slowly starting to come into
Yep.
view in the crawl space. That right there was scary as shit to me. Excuse my language. But my
And even-
mom showed me that movie, and thanks, Mom. You scared the hell out of me.
And even I can't think of a guy's name when he was sitting in the rocking chair up in the bedroom.
Oh,
And his
God.
eyes pop open. He was the caretaker. No, was he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was Julianne Lewis's father, Jeffrey Lewis. Yeah, when his eyes were glowing, I was like,
Yeah.
but that's the difference. Toby Hooper, compared to a lot of these directors today, understood what could really make a person feel unsettled.
Right.
And
That's his
didn't
chainsaw.
have to do a lot to get you there.
Right. Texas Chainsaw, that's not particularly gory.
No, but people have it in their mind that it is
Mhm.
because it subliminally makes you think that it is.
Right.
Because
then
it's
the
just so it's I guess it's just so chaotic, everything going on, that you're thinking, oh, well, this is just a bloodbath.
Right. And they really don't show much.
Mm-mm. No, not at all. How about you, Ann? Did you like Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Yeah, the original, yeah. This was
Not the-
back in the day.
Not the second remake or the third remake or the fourth
No,
remake.
no, oh gee. So this was back when I was a computer programmer, and a bunch of us were transplanted from the Midwest to Dallas, working for Texas Instruments at the time. And so all we did was hang out with each other every weekend. And so we would go to Blockbuster and we would rent Texas Chainsaw Massacre and The Hills Have Eyes. Weekend after weekend after weekend, and watch those same two films and just hang out. It was one of the best times of my life.
Little trivia here. John Larroquette actually did the narration for the beginning of that movie for a bag of weed.
Sweet.
Yeah, for a bag of weed.
Wait. Who did he say it was?
John Larroquette from Night Court.
Oh, shit. Really? I didn't know that.
Yep.
That's funny.
Hey, maybe we could pay our actors that way.
Well, supposedly, according to Gunnar Hanson's autobiography, that if you've never read it, it's a great book. He talks about while they were filming that movie, that they stumbled upon. No, they stumbled upon this guy that was growing marijuana out back of that house that they used. So to keep he got nervous thinking that they were going to call the cops. And here it is. It's just a bunch of hippie kids out there making a movie. Clearly, they're not going to call the cops. So they made a deal where he was like, yeah, y'all can smoke some of the weed back here. I don't care. So now Toby Hooper not only has the problem of, okay, am I going to have enough money to finish this film? But now I've got all my actors out here stoned out of their minds. So how am I going to get these scenes shot? So that whole production was crazy. I mean, if you ain't never read Gunnar Hansen's book on that, it was like, I don't know how they got that movie made. I really don't. Because they had every obstacle against them.
I mean, it's kind of like Apocalypse Now, if you want to watch something, a documentary on that. I mean, some of those people were coked up out of their minds.
Yeah, wasn't Charlie Sheen's dad one of them?
No, it was, oh, shit. I want to say Dennis Hooper.
Dennis Hopper?
Hopper, no.
Yep.
I think it was him. That's an interesting documentary to watch and how that all went down. That was a nightmare too. Hopefully we never get anything like that.
No, Gunnar Hansen wasn't the first pick for Toby Hooper to play Leatherface. He actually had another actor that was supposed to play Leatherface, but the dude was such an alcoholic he couldn't keep him sober, so he fired him and got Gunnar. And rest is history. So, yeah, I didn't know that either. I always thought Gunnar was like his first pick, but come to find out there was another dude. He just couldn't keep him sober long enough. Crazy how things work out.
You know, they're remaking Christine, right?
Yeah.
I know.
I don't get. That's why I love the fact that you all in the indie film community as a whole are making original movies. Yeah, you got shoestring budget, but if you tell me a good story, I don't care. And everybody remakes everything, and the problem is they remake it and it's terrible. It's never good. Never.
Yeah, I think it's hard to capture like that original essence of the film.
Right. I mean, one that's really pissing me off is The Exorcist.
Yeah.
That
remaking that.
Yeah, they made that Exorcist Believer, which was the so-called sequel to the original Exorcist.
Right.
And that movie was not good. Not good.
I mean, Exorcist is one of those where you don't touch it. Don't touch the original and remake it. Leave it. There's nothing wrong with it.
Right.
So was Christine. That's one of that's one of those John Carpenter movies that you leave it alone. Just let it be. Just leave it alone. And I don't know it. Sometimes I'm like the old man on the porch just telling the kids to get off his lawn, but I always say that cell phones is what's robbed people of their imagination. To me, where when we were kids, that's all you had was your imagination to go outside and play, and you would think up fantastical worlds and places you and your friends would do whatever. And it just doesn't seem that younger generations really have that anymore.
Those days are gone, John.
And then they remake something, and you've got the whole blueprint of how to make it work right there in front of you. And you just fudge it up somehow, some way. I don't get it.
Right. Well, now most of you is like, well, now we got special effects. We can make it better. We can make it look better.
I prefer practical myself. Like, to me, one of the greatest movies ever made was American Werewolf in London.
Yes.
I'll stand on my soapbox for that.
When he transforms. Yeah.
Yep. And not a bit of that was CGI because it didn't exist.
Right. What song was playing? Do you remember? When he transformed? I can't remember the name of the song.
Something Moon, Bad Moon Rising? No, that was
I think it was it. No.
I know Creedence Clearwater
I think it's time for another Google search.
Well, all the songs in that movie were based around the moon. I do know that. There was something to do about the moon. I just watched Joe Rogan's podcast the other day where he had Rick Baker on there because I love Rick Baker. And to hear him talk about how they did all that, he was like, once I did it, he's like, I never wanted to do it again. He was like, that was one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do. And he was like, for what was it, maybe 2 minutes, that transformation scene, 2-3 minutes at the most. And
yeah, it was long.
He talked about how it took days and hours to make that work. Like he said David Naughton's like under the floor, like when he's on his back, he's like, and he's sitting there for hours under this floor with this wolf thing built around him that's got these air pumps and air bladders in there that when they pump where you can see his torso stretch out. And they had to do take after take after take. And the scene where David Naughton's eyes are red when he wakes up in the hospital bed and his eyes are changed, that's because they were really red in that scene because he had been wearing those glass contacts for so long that his eyes got infected.
Oh,
ouch.
So that wasn't an effect for his eyes to be red like that. That just naturally happened. Yeah, I love that movie. I've got a crap ton of stuff in my apartment here that's American Werewolf. I've got action figures and posters. I love werewolf films.
Okay, Steve, werewolf film.
I've had an idea for one over here in Hawaii because they call people from the mainland, they call them howlies. So I was sitting there one day with Luke and a couple of our local friends from over here, and I looked at them. I said, you know, it would be cool if we made a werewolf movie and called it The Howl E. And they just looked at me and they were like, dude, that's so stupid, but it works. But it's so stupid. And I was like, think about it. I was like, we're over here. There's no wolves over here, but we have mongooses, and it could be a were mongoose where the guy turns into a man, half mongoose, and he's called the Howley.
That probably has not been done before.
They're slowly buying into it. I'm like, think about it, dude. It would be cool. It'd be funny, but it'd be cool.
And then he could top it off and he could get addicted to some kind of drug.
That, or I said have him like rummaging through people's garbage at night instead of killing people. He's like going through people's garbage. And like the Toxic Avenger, he kind of becomes a superhero or something. I don't know. I'm weird. I don't know. I've always got all kinds of crazy ideas running through my brain.
No idea is really a bad idea.
No. The bad idea is just the one that you, what is that saying? Never mind. I had a stroke for a second. The only bad idea is the one that you don't
go follow through. Something like that.
Okay, so I guess I got to make the Howley. You want to help, Steve? And
sure.
We're in.
I got the perfect guy to play the werewolf. It's a big Samoan dude over here. Hear that, John? It's another John that I know. Watches a lot of our content. Yeah, I don't know. We were just sitting around one day in Luke's comic store, and I just had that pop in my head because we were talking about the movie The Howling, and that's why. And I was sitting there thinking about it. I was like, dude, they call us Howlies that come from the mainland. The Howling, but for Hawaii, and call it How.E.
Holly.
I don't know. So is the It Came From Somewhere universe done, or are you going to make a trilogy, or are you going to make it a complete series of movies?
I'm not sure yet. I can't say this, that Corn Zombies will definitely be a trilogy.
Are you going to mash it up like the Avengers and make one big universe? Came From Somewhere meets Corn Zombies, and
That would be weird.
That would be cool.
Yeah, the zombie thing, the first one was, kind of happy-go-lucky, and there were, stereotypical types of people from the 60s. Return of the Corn Zombies is very dark. It's very dark. So I think people will be a little surprised by that. I mean, we've said it's going to be dark, but it's quite different than the first one. A continuation of the story, but in a different direction.
So you went from Return of the Living Dead to Night of the Living Dead instead of Night of the Living Dead to Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah, we switched it up. And the next one will be like, I don't know, Children of the Corn Zombies. I don't know.
Religious fanatic zombies.
Yeah.
He who walks between the loos.
But I sort of have an idea for the third one, so.
Of course you do. He always has an idea for something.
And then, like everybody else, I'll just go remake the first one again. No.
It's like, I got my New Hope, Star Wars Episode 4. I got my Empire Strikes Back. I'm already one step ahead of you. I'm on Jedi already. I'm already working on Jedi. It's like George Lucas, I guess. He thought of the end of his story before the beginning, right?
Right. Well, he actually had written all of them almost together, but the script was so big, I mean, there was no way he can fund it, so he split it into parts.
I always wondered why he started with Episode 4 first. I don't know. I guess if I ever have a chance to meet him.
I think it was for the success, all three movies, he wanted to go back and tell the origin of Anakin Skywalker. I mean, but if they all bombed, what's the point?
At least he got the redemption in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember if it actually had Episode 4 when I was a kid, or they actually put that in there later.
That was later.
Okay. Yeah.
Because the scroll, it just says it. I think it just says Star Wars. It goes right into the scroll when it first came out. And then later they added A New Hope.
You ought to do a Star Wars there, Steve. Like a horror Star Wars.
Oh, shit.
Where are we going to get the money for that?
They did it. It's called Aliens.
Yeah.
That new one is actually good if you've not seen it. Alien Romulus.
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
I think I think it's like 20 minutes too long.
Yeah, I feel that. But the fact that they actually went back and used the guy in the suit to do the xenomorph was actually, I was like, okay, I can get down with this. They actually had practical effects for the face huggers and the xenomorph. And I'm like, how come Disney did this right, but they screwed Star Wars up so bad?
Well, I don't know, man. I mean, they completely shit show that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the only one that good that came out of there was probably Rogue One.
Yeah, and I like the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. I know a lot of people crapped on that, but I really enjoyed it. I liked
I
it.
don't know. I don't know.
I
He
like
should have never. It completely shit on him because he wasn't supposed to leave Tatooine. He was supposed to keep his eye on Luke, and here he just goes taking off.
Well, I had a problem with him having him reveal himself in the way that he did to Leia. Because
Right.
when you go back and you actually watch the episode 4 New Hope, Leia's basically the way she's talking through that little video message, she doesn't even know who Obi-Wan Kenobi is.
Right, just that her dad knows him.
Yeah. So that was my big problem. Now I just like having I guess Hayden Christensen come back and kind of get his
redemption.
Kind of get his second go around, because everybody crapped on that kid. Well, I can't call him a kid now. He's practically my age, but at the time when he was a kid, everybody crapped on him, and I didn't think he did a bad job.
Well, Attack of the Clones, yeah, but not Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, Revenge. I think Attack of the Clones was kind of like his filling out party. I think he didn't really. And he went too overboard trying to play the annoying teenager.
Well, he did it great.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. But in Revenge of the Sith, he just knocked it out of the park because you felt for him.
Right.
Because what would you do if you were in that situation? You know your wife's going to die, and here the devil's making you this offer of, I can save her.
Right.
I just need you to give me your soul.
Right. And then you end up killing her. So,
yeah.
You end up being the one that kills her.
That's been my biggest problem with Disney, is the fact that they took all those books from all those years from Timothy Zahn and different writers like that and said, this is legends. This is not source material. And it's like, dude, do you all not realize what kind of gold mine you've got there for ideas with all those books?
Yep, they had it right there.
You could have took Shadows of the Empire and made a movie out of it, and you would have made, I guarantee, $1 billion. Easy $1 billion. As much as everybody loved the Shadows of the Empire by Steve Perry, not the singer, but the writer. Some people, I guess, get him confused. But yeah, I mean, what was the other one? The
Splinter of the Mind's Eye.
Yeah, Splinters of the Mind's Eye, The Last Command, Truce at Bakura, the Corellian Saga,
the General Thrawn trilogy.
Yeah, the what was that one called?
Heir to the Empire.
Heir to the Empire. Yeah. I don't know.
Sorry, Ed. We're just kind of geeking out here.
That's all right.
Me and him did that the last time we talked.
Yeah, you guys did. We went on for hours. Yeah, I had one glass of wine with dinner tonight. I'm just starting to.
Yep. Today is my cheat day. So after I get off here, I'm going to go get my junk food, and I have my bottle of wine I already got yesterday. It's called Francis Ford Coppola's Director's Cut.
Yeah, that's fun.
It's a Cabernet Sauvignon. It's actually pretty good. If you like a wine that has a bit of a woody taste to it, I like to taste the actual barrel on the finish. That's just me. I kind of like the wood kind of hint to it. But yeah, I gave up hard liquor, and which I was never a big drinker and beer and stuff when I went on my diet and had the kidney scare. And now on Saturdays, I have like a glass of red wine or two and my junk food. I've turned into a wine snob, according to some of my family members and friends. I'm like, I'm sorry, you almost died from kidney failure, and you tell me if you ever want to put anything bad into your body ever
Mm-hmm.
again.
Yeah.
Wine is actually good for you. Not a whole bottle, but a glass or two. It's
Yeah.
not
Or
going to
three.
kill you. Yeah, if you drink a whole bottle, then God bless you. I've done that once. I have. We went not last year, year before last, my company that I work for in my normal person job. We had our Christmas party at a Morton Steakhouse. And of course, they've got like the top shelf wine and scotch and all this stuff. And the owner, Steve's like, yeah, I work for a guy named Steve as well. Know a lot of Steves. He said, anything y'all want. So I asked the bartender, I said, what's the best red wine you got? And he gave me this bottle, and it was like a $300 bottle of red wine. I forget the name of it. It was French or Italian, one of the two. And we got talking and whatnot. Next thing I know, I've drank this whole bottle of wine. And it didn't hit me until I went to stand up and get on the elevator to go down to catch my Uber back home. And the whole time I'm coming back home, I'm like, holy shit, I'm drunk. This is not good. And of course, I live alone, and I walk in my apartment, and I swear to God, my cat looks at me and just gives me this look of, if she could say it, she would have, you disgust me kind of look, like a housewife would do to her husband that just walked in. And I just lay down on the bed and I pass out, and there is no hangover like a wine hangover. Holy shit. That next day, I'm like, oh God. Like one of your corn. Yeah, I'm like one of your corn zombies. Just walking around. Give me greasy food, something help. But yeah, never made that mistake ever again. Kind of wine do you like, Ann?
Any kind. I'm not very picky when it comes to alcohol. So yeah, if the label looks nice or if it has an interesting name, that's good enough for me.
Hey, it makes me feel tingly and relaxes me. Don't care.
Yeah. I'm like you though. I don't drink that much because the older you are, the longer it takes to recover. So kind of what's the point? So I have a bunch of theater friends, and they always have a Halloween party every year, and I always come with 2 drinks for myself. And they make fun of me because they're all 15 years younger than me. But they're like, what's with you with the 2 drinks? I'm like, number one, it's a 30-40 minute drive for me to drive home. And number 2, I'm going to feel like crap in the morning if I have more than 2. So I'm just going to have 2.
So we got this this rum distillery here just up the street, actually, from where I live. Opana, I think's the name, Opana Rum. They make it from the local sugar cane and stuff here, and they do a tasting tour. And I went with some of the people that I work with at the body shop, and we were sitting there, and all of them are sitting there, and they, are like sommeliers. They're sitting there rolling it in the glass, going, look at the legs on it and stuff like that. And here I am, the redneck from North Carolina, going, the hell you talk about legs? Does it get you drunk? What the hell you talk? No, when you gets on the glass and see how it runs down like that, I was like, I don't know what the hell you talk about legs. I'll just drink it.
I thought it was for drinking. Yeah.
Yeah, clearly just put it out there that I'm this country hick from North Carolina, not just in accent, but in thinking as well, I guess. Going, what the hell you talk about legs? I mean, does it get you drunk type of? And they're all just looking at me like, so uncivilized. We're never bringing the hillbilly with us ever again. I don't know. I didn't know what the hell legs was. Forgive me.
I wouldn't have known either. I've never been to a wine tasting fancy thing like that.
Yeah, they're sitting there going, I smell apple pie and this, that, and the other. And I'm going, I just smell rum. I don't know what the hell you are.
When can we drink it?
Smells like liquor to me. It's like, I think you just make this up just to sound fancy because I don't smell apple pie. Steve's quiet.
No,
You must not. You must not drink.
Very rarely. I did all my drinking back in like 18, 19, 20 years old. No, I did all my drinking then.
Yeah, I don't drink a lot now. Yeah, like you, I did all my partying in high school and college. That was really it.
And then the older you get, I mean, the body's just like, yeah, you better not.
Right.
Yeah,
Don't even think about it.
The older I got, it was like I wanted to, when I was younger, I wanted to be the party animal. I wanted to be seen and everybody think I was wild and crazy. And now as I've gotten older, I'm just looking for an exit and how I can get out of there quick so I can get home and go to bed.
Right.
And just be there long enough to be like, yep, nice seeing you all while I'm out. Pop's got to go. Pop's late night's coming on and I got to go to bed.
No, I got to get up early. I got to go.
Like I went to a country bar with some friends one time. They're like, come on out here and go country line dance. And I was like, just because my accent sounds like I'm from the country, I'm not getting out there and trying to country line dance. I'm sorry. I'm going home. I'll see you all later. Goodbye. Yeah. Nah, my party days are done and gone. A good weekend for me is peace and quiet.
Yeah.
Yep.
My cat sitting there chilling with me. That's really about it. I talked to her. She hasn't said anything back yet. Thank God. I'm glad because I'd probably get scared if she did. Or think that I just had something happen in my brain.
Or she starts telling you, you know what, you better go clean out that litter box. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, her thing was, where's my treats at, boy?
Right.
Now,
Where's
chop,
that
chop.
catnip? You may not still get buzzed, but I do. Where's the catnip?
Yeah. Chop, chop, fat boy, where's my treats at? I'm coming, boss. Yeah. I don't need a wife. I got a cat. She runs the house. I just live here. I had to send you a picture of her, Ann. If you like cats, she's a calico.
I do. Yeah. I started watching, on Facebook, they have those reels. So just little short videos. There's some guy who is a vet and he doesn't speak English. So I don't even know where he's from, but there were real short videos of him treating cats. And these cats are like insanely angry and mean and swatting at him and cutting him up, and the noises they make, like this one just screams so loud. That's all I go to Facebook for now. It's just I found his name, and so I follow him as well. They're insane how mean and bad these cats are.
Not my Lily. That's the one thing I can say about her. There ain't a mean bone in that cat's body, and she grew up around kids. She's an older cat.
Mm-hmm.
She grew up around kids pulling on her, tugging on her, and she never once has bitten anybody. Has she bit me? Yeah, when I went to give her a bath, because that cat, like most cats, does not like water.
Right.
And it gets a little violent when you try to give her a bath. So I have special gloves for that. But other than that,
that's full body armor, huh?
Yeah, she gets a little rough.
This guy has like leather gloves that go up to his elbow kind of thing. Because these cats are wicked vicious. And that's just trying to get them out of the crate that they're in. They're insane. Yeah, my
They're
kid
probably
doesn't like
strays.
going to the vet, but well, yeah, I don't know if they're feral, but sometimes there are like English captions on the top that says, like your owner says you're nice, or your owner says you don't like to be petted, or whatever. But yeah, they're crazy. So yeah, that's my thing on Facebook is bad cat videos.
My buddy I grew up with in North Carolina, William, we used to go over to a friend's house, and his mom had a cat that was the devil in cat form. And they would keep it in his mom's bedroom, and we would sit there and go and open the door to his mom's bedroom, and you'd open it and you'd hear, and then we'd close the door and it'd get quiet. Open the door, and then we close the door back, and then we'd open it again just to hear it. That cat was straight up just everything demonic. It was I Am Legion, I believe. It's just every demon there was inside that thing. But his mom would come home and it would lay in her lap and cuddle and all this stuff. And we're sitting there like, this thing literally wants to tear your face off. But it's over there just rubbing all over her like, just big old lovey-dovey. Crazy shit. Yeah, I've seen some evil cats in my time. And cats evil dogs, too. Been chased by a few dogs as a kid too. That was always fun. Not really.
I got bit once while I was riding my bike. So I had the old banana seat and the high up handlebars, and I'm riding down the street, and the neighbor's dog comes along and just bites me in the ass as I'm pedaling my bike. Nice doggy. My dad was so mad, the neighbor, because it was the next door neighbor's dog. He was so mad at him.
My grandmother had this little ankle biter, looked like a rat. That's what I called him. And me and him did not like one another. And every time I'd reach down for anything, he would just come up and just bite me for no reason. And I'm like, dude, you are such a dick, dude. What is wrong with you? I'm just reaching down to tie my shoe, and he just and bite me and then run off. Like, what an asshole. And then when they were like, he passed away today, and I'm like, oh, here. And they're like, that's not nice. I'm like, well, he was a dick. And my father's like, boy, you better watch out. You wake up, the ghost of that dog will be in your bed tonight.
Yeah, biting your leg.
Yeah.
There's a horror script you can work on.
Yeah. That dog was such an asshole. Everybody else, fine. Me, for some reason, did not like me. Just reaching the floor for anything. Come over, just nip the shit out of me. It was basically my bully in life, was that dog.
Nah, he was just showing you he loved you.
Yeah. Yeah. My drawing blood out of me on a regular basis.
Vampire dog.
He was my Cujo. Minus the rabies. So, what other projects you all got on Indiegogo at the moment?
Well, we have several campaigns that are still open because people just randomly contribute and buy a perk, and then that keeps the campaign open. So we've only had one that's like totally closed. So there's still It Came From Somewhere is still open. They Came Back From Somewhere. The First Attack of the Corn Zombies, Return of the Corn Zombies. Night of the Dead Sorority Babes still open.
Disremembered.
Yeah, Disremembered. Even Desperate Souls is still open. Yeah, because it's just a couple months will go by and nobody will donate, and then all of a sudden somebody will buy, assistant producer or something, and that keeps it open. Because I think that it must be like 6 months or so has to go by before Indiegogo themselves will just like forcibly close it because of no activity. So yeah, if you search for ACROSTAR, you can see what's out there.
Yeah, it's kind of sucked the economy.
Yeah.
That's hurt a lot of filmmakers. One of my really good friends, Steve Merlo, I don't know if you've all ever met him, that made the Sawyer Massacre. He's making Unseen.
Yeah, I know of him, yeah.
Yeah, I've helped him out with his films quite a bit, and he's up in Canada where the American dollar decreases substantially in value. So you could give him $100 for a perk, and he only sees maybe 80, 75 or 80 of that 100 because of the exchange rate. So that, I the only thing I hope is the economy kind of balances out, because I've noticed that believe me, it ain't just you all. It's a lot of filmmakers that are hurting to get their stuff off the ground because everybody's scared to spend money.
And it's also, like now it's getting close to the holidays at the end of the year, and people are planning for expenditures that way. And we kind of knew that launching this thing for Perfect Soul, but it's a smaller campaign. We're hoping to just get some steam behind us, some interest generated, some people talking about the film before we have something to actually show for it. So the little video that's out there now is just kind of a mini pitch deck with some music behind it. But at least people can get a feel for what the film will be like, and they can always read the book. But a lot of people are lazy and they don't even want to bother reading a book. So,
have y'all tried for
it's a good book.
It's a great book.
Have y'all tried for a grant for the film?
No, a lot of grants require that you be a nonprofit, and we are not a nonprofit. And then there are other things you can get into where you like pay an application fee, and then maybe you would have a chance to win something. So we just have to balance, whether that would be a reasonable expense or not. And so far we've decided not.
Yeah, I heard some grants require you to be union as well, I think, right?
Yeah, there's all different kinds of criteria. And then also our script is not 100% finished. So a lot of them you'd have to submit the full script. And since Steve's doing an adaptation, he's kind of watching out for what we can practically do, and then also what the length of the film will be, because we want to keep it an hour 30, hour 40. Don't really want to go too much longer than that. So those are all adjustments that he needs to make. And now that he's got his cast, like he knows what he wants to do with it, but it's just a matter of time, because he's also doing post-production on Return of the Corn Zombies. And then we have deliverables to distributors that he needs to work on. And we're doing, another episode of the Splintered Love series in January. So he's constantly flipping back and forth between the different projects.
Yeah, I get emails all the time. Hey, you read my script? I was like, yeah, I'll read your script. What do you think? I think you got something there. Okay. You think I could get 10 grand to start off? I'm like, I can maybe help you find 10 grand, but I can't necessarily give you 10 grand. I'm like,
I'll give you $5. I
run a little rinky-dink YouTube channel, and I might make $50 in ad revenue per month at the most, but 10 grand. I could point you at maybe a few people I know that could help you. That's as much as I can do. You
Yeah, there's
heard
a
of?
lot of distance between I have a script and I have a movie.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm like, have you ever heard of crowdfunding? Or you just knew all of it, you know? But you know, I take a little bit of like, you know, humility of, okay, this person reached out to me because they think I'm somebody that can, you know, read their script. And I try to be nice and you be like, yeah, sure. You know, if you took your time to send me your script, I'll read it. I've had all kinds of scripts sent to me. I've had love stories. I've had basically like Lifetime television type of love stories. I've had some comedy. And a lot of them are really good. Maybe they're not my particular thing. I mean, obviously, I run my company that I have is called Fiendish Fantasy Productions. I don't know if you want your Lifetime original movie with that as the production company. I mean, it's kind of a weird pairing there, but tonight, the Lifetime original movie Beth's Dream by Fiendish Fantasy Production. Yeah, it just doesn't sound very
Right. Next on the Lifetime channel.
yeah.
On the Hallmark channel.
Yeah. Tonight on Hallmark, Christmas with the Family, brought to you by Fiendish Fantasy Productions. Yeah, we're branching out. We're going from horror and sci-fi to over here to love stories. I don't know. I did it just so I could trademark behind the fiends and everything so nobody would steal it because I got scared because a friend of mine that does YouTube had built a pretty substantial YouTube channel and all of a sudden somebody came along with the same name as his channel and all of a sudden sent him a cease and desist and they had trademarked it. And because they had trademarked it and he hadn't, he had to completely shut his whole channel down.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, and rebrand. And when he did the whole rebrand, it just didn't have the same legs as the original. So I got scared and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go talk to a lawyer. I'm going to put all this under one banner. So I created the Fiendish Fantasy Production and just trademarked it under that.
Mm-hmm.
And for $500 every year, I can keep the trademark.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it ain't much. My channel ain't much. My little almost 6,000 subscribers, but it's mine and I want to keep it.
Right.
Well, and you're building
into it.
You're building people, a group of people who have the same interests. So there's a lot of value there.
Yeah.
That's the same thing with the crowdfunding is, we're getting people who really like the work that we've done and are willing to help us on more than one film, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
And we don't expect just because you donate to one, you donate to all kind of thing. And I'm pretty low key on asking people to donate. It's just a simple ask and either they will or they won't, and try to expand and get some new people involved and stuff like that. But the money doesn't just like rain down on people. It's you have to actually ask for it.
Yeah, I'm waiting for my Christmas bonus that I get because we get bonuses at my job every month. But what I do is I save up all mine so I get one bulk sum at Christmas time.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And so I'm not just getting the little bits every month. I just save it up so that way I get one good little chunk. I think last year I got like $2,000.
Nice.
So I try to every Christmas is I go on Indiegogo and I'll buy perks from different films and give them out as Christmas presents. I think last year I gave out 2 associate producer perks from the Sawyer Massacre that Steve did. I gave that out as Christmas presents to 2 people in my family.
Oh,
and of course
nice.
they're going around going, I'm a Hollywood producer now. It's like, slow your roll there. Not yet. Don't go jump in the pool and think, that you're like Steven Spielberg and go tell somebody that you're going to have them, caviar wishes and whatever that was, Hollywood dreams or whatever that saying is.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were like, oh, I'm a producer now. Yes and no.
In name only.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're on IMDb. But do you know what a producer does? No. Then okay. I mean, don't go make yourself a business card and go handing it out to people.
Right.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, the way I look at it, though, if that gives them joy,
yeah,
then
that's
more
what
public,
That's what I got the kick out of. Is like, I'm a producer. Yeah, you are. But I have, it's just me in my sarcastic way. I'm just like, but don't go get the big head now. It's more to it than just buying a perk on Indiegogo.
Yeah.
Even I don't know everything. I know enough. That's about it. Know enough that I know it's over my head. That's all I can contribute. Because I'm pretty sure it's a pretty big job. You're, like you said, you're the problem solver for all of it.
Yeah, pretty much.
So that way Steve can concentrate on making the movie.
Absolutely.
Actors have an argument, and you got to be the one to mediate it. All that kind of crap.
We've gotten really lucky in that we don't have drama on our sets. We just really don't. I mean, we kind of set the expectation ahead of time that that's not going to happen. And then I also tell people, like they have an open door to me and to Steve. If they have an issue, let's talk about it. Don't go running off to the other actors, asking them about it. Talk to the people who can make a decision. But yeah, I mean, everybody shows up. They've done their work ahead of time. They're very prepared. And that's how we can make movies quickly, because everybody pulls together and works toward that same end.
I've been blessed to work with some very awesome people, to say the least. I mean, everybody I've ever worked with has been fantastic.
Yeah, I've heard some horror stories, but not from anybody I know. Everybody I know, pretty much every project that they've worked on, or even ones that I've been associated with, have all went off great. I mean, I've heard some stories here and there through the grapevine, where like a catering company that had promised to cater the shoot, basically just, dipped on them with no kind of warning or anything. Another one where transportation didn't show up the way it was supposed to, or just different little things. But as far as like drama on the set, I've never really had any kind of stories come to my ears about that. Thank God. It shouldn't be. I mean, making a movie should be fun, not drama and BS.
Right. I always say we're not here making a multi-billion-dollar movie.
Yeah.
We're here. We're just like friends making a film. That's it. I mean,
Like me when I was
friends getting together for a few days and making a movie.
Like me and you and probably so many others that ran around with a Super 8 camera, or one of them big old bazooka Magnavox cameras, or even a tape deck recording yourself or whatever. That was me, the tape deck kid.
I mean, if they're not having fun on set, I mean, what's the point? Enjoy yourself.
Yep. Everybody's there for one common goal. Just as well make it happen. You ain't got so long to shoot it anyway. And then the indie shoot, you probably got what? Maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Way
That's
less
being
than
generous.
that. We've been on the 7-day program. So that's the shoot, 110 or so pages of script in 7 days. With Perfect Soul, we're spending 12 full days, and I mean it's going to be a lot more expensive because it's a lot more days. Everything is multiplied by the number of days, but a lot of that is just that. I think it's better, like from an actor's perspective. I like filming in a row versus the filming being broken up, but some people can only film on the weekends. So again, you have to kind of, depending on the filmmaker. I mean, I'm working on a project where I'm going back for my last scene next week, and we filmed all the other scenes 2 weeks ago, and I had to get a haircut in between because person I go to has a busy schedule, but like my hair's pulled up with this particular character, so nobody will even notice. But I worry about like weird things like that as an actor, and then trying to have the exact same energy that you had for your character a couple weeks prior. I think it's hard. That takes a lot of effort. I would rather knock it out day after day after day, but everybody can't do that. So
I've always wanted to at least be on screen just once. I had one dude, a friend of mine named Jason. Jason Demzel. Forgive me, Jason, if I messed your name up. But he lives out in Florida. He called me not too long ago. He goes, dude, I'm writing this movie about this. It's like a slasher serial killer, and I want you to come out and play the actual killer. I'm like, dude, do I give off like serial killer vibes or something? And I was just picking with him. I was very honored that he thought of me. And he's like, but I'm sitting there like, I can't do this. I ain't never acted in anything. I could be an extra and stand in the back and maybe wave or something or, something like that. But I have never done any acting, none whatsoever. And you want me to play a villain in a movie? Playing the villain is like one of the most complex things that you can do in a film.
Yeah.
No, I was like, I can't, man. I'm sorry. You want to find me a role where I stand in the back, maybe?
Right.
And be an extra, fine. But
yeah, that's really the best way to start. Because then you have more time to observe what's going on around you and figuring out who's who and who's doing what. And and then acting classes help as well because it's really broken down. Like everything's broken down in terms of, like how you achieve emotional, different states, how you interact with scene partners, how you don't look at the camera. Like there's so many things to it that practicing it is really what kind of helps you know whether that's the kind of thing you want to do or not.
Like when you watch Jack Nicholson in The Shining behind the scenes, when he's like jumping around and making himself angrier and angrier. I can't do that. I don't like being mean to people. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I would be a terrible method actor.
Well, and sometimes with emotions, like to me, it's easier to get a particular emotion started than it is to stop it after the director calls cut, particularly with stuff like crying. Like things have happened in my life and I recall those events and that gets me into that emotional state. But then when somebody calls cut, you got to turn it off because you need to get back to the start again to do another take. So there's a lot to control on all those different emotions.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never made myself cry on command.
It's not easy, but I think the older you are, the easier it gets because like more bad shit has happened to you by that time that you can draw on to kind of tap into that emotion.
Well, is there anything else that y'all want to put out there before we call cut on this?
I don't. And do you?
No, I think we've pretty much covered everything. Like I say, there'll be some good stuff coming out from Bayview starting in 2025. A couple re-releases of Attack of the Corn Zombies, and They Came From Somewhere. Those will be coming out through Bayview, as well as Night of the Dead Sorority Babes and Return of the Corn Zombies. And yeah, we're really looking forward to Perfect Soul next year. It's going to be a really, really cool film.
And like I said earlier in the video, I'm going to make sure I put the links to all the movies, your website, the Indiegogo campaigns, all that down here in the description for the video. So that way, if you all are interested in watching those movies, contributing to those movies, can't even speak, and also your Amazon links for your books as well, Steve. I'll put that down there so people can buy your books and read them. I think you have Kindle editions and regular physical editions for both. I read that correctly.
Yes.
Oh, I thought he was getting ready to say something.
If people actually still pick up actual books, but yeah, they're available on both.
I do. I've got a bookshelf over here with a bunch of books in it. Probably got more than I needed. But everybody should at least pick up a book and read. Read. It's kind of a lost art, feels like. But yeah, I just want to say thanks to both of you for coming on. And I know it was kind of a short notice thing because I messaged you, Ann, at the beginning of the week. So I was glad that you were all able to have time because I know you're both busy.
Yeah, we enjoyed it. Thanks, John.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. And hope to have you on again sometime in the near future. Get back into this whole YouTube thing again. I've had my vacation. I'm recharged. I'm ready to go again. But yeah, thank you both for coming on, and means the world to me. Love to sit there and talk about stuff with y'all. And Ann, sorry that me and Steve was nerding out earlier about Star Wars and all that different stuff.
I knew you would, so no worries.
It just happens. There's two nerds, and we get talking about nerd shit. But want to thank everybody out there that took time to watch this video. And as I said before, you want to contribute to any of Steve and Ann's projects that they have going on, look for those links down in the description below. And if you would, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. Again, I want to thank Ann and Steve for coming on today. And as always, it's been your old buddy John. And I'll see you again next time on Behind the Fiends.